in and you smell rubber. You smell the ethanol and you hear the rattle guns. Something in your blood, it boils, it yearns for it. You need it. You know, it's only real motorheads that get that feeling.
If you're a racing car driver, being in the right place at the right time, with the right amount of energy under the bonnet, is vital for your success. Every millisecond counts. If you own a racing car team, the same thing applies. Right place, right time, right amount of energy, and the right amount of money. And that is the life story of Betty Klimenko, owner of the Erebus V8 supercars team.
Thanks, Betty. Much appreciated again.
Pleasure.
The pocket dynamo who lives life on her terms, who succeeded on her terms, and who is a rock star among the V8 fans.
You're going to win, by the way.
Don't say that, that's a jinxing.
Because her fans know it,
Is she beautiful?
her team knows it, Betty only has one speed, and that's maximum horsepower. And to be honest, it's hard not to be caught up in it when Betty's around.
So chances are good this weekend? Chances are what they are. I never talk about the...
Betty's whole life shows you never quite know how things might turn out.
It's like a spotlight.
The beginning of Betty's life is well documented. It was anything but fortunate. It was here, in Sydney's seedy heart, the King's Cross police station, that Betty was conceived. Her natural mother, Anne, was a heroin-addicted prostitute locked up for the night. Her natural father, a police officer, paid a visit. When Betty arrived, Anne tried. She had Betty baptised, but after 7 weeks, it was too much. She put Betty up for adoption. By complete coincidence, the blue-eyed baby with a shock of blonde hair was adopted by the Saunders family. Well, actually, it was the Schwartz family before her Hungarian father, Jano, a victim of German concentration camps in the Second World War, changed his family name. Jano Schwartz became John Saunders. And John Saunders was Frank Lowy's partner in creating the Westfield shopping centre business. Timing, as we say, is everything. So blonde-haired, blue-eyed Betty Saunders became a Sydney eastern suburbs princess.
I was in so many worlds and I had to deal with so many worlds. And it was more that... But then my mother died when I was 10. So we had Church of England nannies. All of a sudden, Christmas trees sprung up. And my father, being my father, would get the biggest Christmas tree. And I said to him one day, I want to be like the Princess and the Pea. So Westfield came in and built me a bed with 8 mattresses and a ladder coming up.
But life, even as a princess, isn't quite as you might imagine. John Saunders' wife, Etta, Betty's mother, died when she was just 10. It was the same time that the Westfield business accelerated massively. John Saunders and Frank Lowy built 7 shopping centres in 7 years.
My brother was intellectually handicapped, paranoid, schizophrenic and autistic. I looked after him from the age of 5 when my mother died, so it was always him and me, always him and me. But my father was gone every weekend. So what happened on those weekends and the nannies and everything else, he didn't need to know. I just knew I had to look after my brother because some of them just chuffed on. After he left, and they put food on the kitchen table and went. Money doesn't always bring things that you think that it does.
But some traditions of the Sydney eastern suburbs Jewish community were alive and well in the Saunders household, like all-in Friday night dinners.
It was a table of Hungarian Jews. You know, you put the schnitzel down. Don't sit there like a, polite person. Get your fork and dig. Just get it first before someone else gets it. But my father loved it. We'd all be there. My sister's 20 years younger, so she'd be there with a couple of friends, or he'd invite people for dinner, and that was the whole thing, to have a very big table. The noise level was beyond comprehension. No one heard what anyone said, but you had to hear. That's why I still do it.
Even though his wealth was growing fast, John Saunders never lost the touch of being self-made. Their backgrounds meant he and Loie were driven for growth, and he passed this on to his daughter.
My father was very well known for going into a shopping centre and looking in the bathrooms, and if the bathrooms were dirty, he would roll up his own sleeves. We had a hotel, Shore Inn in Artarmon, and the dishwasher was on stroke. He looked at everyone and said, "This is not right." And he said, "Everyone out. Betty," I was like 10 or 11, "stay here with me." And we did every dish and every pot and pan. We washed it all up so they could have a dinner session. And he just looked at me when he was finished, he was dripping with sweat, didn't have an apron on, everything was wet, and he says, "Now how do you feel?" And I was covered in bubbles because we had a bubble fight in the middle of it all, because we didn't know how to use anything. And I said, "I feel good, Daddy." He said, "Good." You know, these were the lessons he taught me.
But Betty's relationship with her father would come to an abrupt end when she met her second husband, Daniel.
How old was I? If you were 19, I was 29. And I fell in love across the room. Literally, love at first sight.
You did try that it's not going to work.
Yeah, I did say to him.
And I laughed at you.
I said to him after a couple of weeks, "This won't work. This can't work. I have responsibilities. I have, you know, my father, on and on." He laughed, and then that's when the crap hit the fan.
Daniel was a fitter and turner when he met Betty, just divorced, with 2 kids. John Saunders, though, was anything but happy.
My father threw me out of the family, which is a well-known story. He threw me out. He said, you know, he's 19 years younger, he comes from La Perouse, he's not Jewish, the whole kit and caboodle. And then I went and lived in Matraville in a really small brick house. And it was that moment that changed me. I went from being, drop your clothes, someone puts it away, someone cooks for you, someone looks after the children, you can go and spend hours in shoe shops, and you know, you open my cupboards, it was every brand name you could have for handbags and shoes. That was the moment, because I had to learn to do everything. Daniel taught me how to not cook, but to clean, to iron. I never picked up an iron, and I never met average, everyday people. And it was great. I learnt what these people, their lives were like, what their wants were, and they were all talking about supercars. And it was a moment where I learnt that sometimes you don't have enough money and you've got to stand at Woolworths and wait till they bring that trolley out with the food, with the meat that expires on that day. And I would have to catch a bus. He taught me how to catch a bus properly. And, you know, with 2 kids, and I was pregnant and I had a 3rd kid, I learned how to be a normal, everyday Australian.
Was it a good lesson?
It was a great lesson. I think every single Eastern Suburbs princess should go through that, because it changed me. It made me realise I had it so good, and that sometimes you just got to get up off your ass and do it.
It took 4 years for John to soften.
My father was a weird man. I would ring him every day, and his secretary put me through. He didn't say a word. He'd just pick up the phone. I go, "Hi, Daddy. Anthony did this today, Ricky did this today, Matthew did this today, blah, 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 blah." And when he'd had enough, he just put the phone down. And I did every day for 4 years. 5 days a week, because I didn't ring him at home, but 5 days a week.
The standoff ended when one of John's cousins visited from Israel.
And he said to my father, "Oh, is he drunk? Is he a drunk?" He goes, "No." "Is he a drug user?" "No." "How does he treat her?" He goes, "Very well." And he said, "What's the problem?" He said to him, "What is the problem, John? I mean, he tucks me in at night." He goes, "Okay." And he had a Hungarian accent, which I will try to copy. I'm not the best at it, but I will try. "Betty, darling, I think you should move. You live too far away in Matraville." And I'm like, Okay.
But in this story, if you think this is someone who indulges in an expensive hobby because they inherited a fortune, rethink it. After John's death, Betty worked in the family property business to build it here and in America. Today, the Terrace Tower Group, run by John Saunders' children, owns 50% of the East Garden Shopping Centre in Sydney, the key supercentre retail precinct on the edge of Sydney CBD, and the iconic Terrace Tower, 80 William Street, Sydney, along with other buildings in America.
And by the time my brother-in-law and my sister came into the scene, because he runs the company now, we had 10 times the amount that my father had left. So there was a very, very healthy company there. I kind of got to a point where I went, you know what, this is not for me anymore.
But doing nothing, well, that didn't kind of work for Betty either.
I got to a point where I said, okay, I'm going to retire. And then I did for a year. And the only thing I got out of it was that I started wearing grandma pants, underpants, and put on 30 kilos, right? So that didn't work. That was one place I ain't going back to.
Betty Klimenko went from being the daughter of billionaire John Saunders to facing a life with little money, then back to running her father's shopping centre empire, and then trying out retirement. Well, just for a while.
And then I did for a year. That was one place I ain't going back to.
And that's when the motor racing started. Take me all the way back. Why did you start the Erebus motor racing team in the first place? What was the inspiration for that?
Well, we weren't Erebus when we first started. We were Cactus.
Why were you Cactus?
Well, we were Cactus because no one told me there was an Australian slang word for crap. They had a lot of fun with that word. I had bought Daniel a Porsche for his birthday. It was late coming in, and the Porsche people said, look, we can't take any money off, but we can give you a course at Mount Cotton in Queensland. So we went and did this course, and there was a driver there called Peter Hackett. And we were talking to him at lunch, and somehow we started to sponsor him. And that wasn't enough for me, so I started sponsoring the car, and then I bought a car.
From there, Betty and Daniel worked their way through the categories, F3, then the GT series, where they seriously started racing Mercedes GTs.
We won the 12-hour, we won the championship in quite a short time, and we had a great crew. We drove overseas. We had Mika Hakkinen driving with us, and we did it all there. And I said, you know what, we're only doing 6 rounds a year. It's not enough for me. We were in a hotel in Melbourne. I said, why don't we do V8 supercars? And Ryan Madison, who was looking after the team, and my husband was there, and I could see their faces. Oh God, here she goes. This can be trouble. I said, why not? And he says, you do know what you're going to get into. And they listed, I said, yeah. You know, me being me, I didn't think about it. Yeah, let's just do it.
But to just do it needs more than money. It needs a force of personality and a fierce determination to build a team, raise money from sponsors, and to break through into the traditional male bastion that is the pinnacle of motorsport in Australia.
It wasn't easy for me because here I am, an older woman. I think I was 57 at the time, and I said, no, I'm here to stay. Everyone thought it was just a girl with money, and that in 2 years' time she'll get bored of it and she'll walk out. And this is my 10th season. Next year is my 10 years, and I haven't walked out. And I've given to the sport. And I think the proudest moment when I received my AM for motorsport, for my, for what I've done in motorsport as well as charity. But it was the motorsport part that got me. I did it on my own.
And that vindication came fast, even faster than Betty expected. Erebus joined the V8 supercars in 2013. In its first year, it won the prestigious Bathurst 12-hour race.
There are our winners. Their grinner's all right.
But the highlight came 4 years later, when the Erebus team climbed the pinnacle of car racing in Australia by claiming the 2017 Bathurst 1000, with drivers Dave Reynolds and Luke Yilden.
It's been an exquisite performance, a brilliant team effort, car-to-car combat, battling the weather, the risks, and another day of drama. And 1,000 kilometres later, David Reynolds, you are the man.
Your whole life changes when you win Bathurst, because it's not about just winning a car race, it's about winning Bathurst. Everybody, no one I know will say, oh, who won the championship? They say, who won Bathurst? And it's like reaching Nirvana for you. And it was our second year in Holden. We shouldn't be there. And that's what got me. We should not have won.
But Bathurst is like a stunt. A lot of people attempt the stunt, but not everyone, complete the stunt.
Yeah.
You Evel Knievel. You're not going to always make the jump. Bathurst is full of people who have failed every year. I mean, there's only one winner. So we all turn up and one wins, we all fail.
No one knows who's second.
But that win propelled the diamond-laden, tattooed billionaire into legend status in the world of motorsport.
I sat in the bathtub hitting the water like this going, you won Bathurst, you won Bathurst. What the did you do? You won Bathurst. It's too soon. It was too soon. Because once you win Bathurst, there's an expectation. There is
There's a hunger.
There's a hunger. I would go through my whole career and not win the championship if I could win Bathurst. My bucket list is ticked. That's it. Ticked.
Yeah, but now you want more.
Of course you want more. It's this thing in your stomach. It's like it grows. You need to win it. And we've come so close from that time on. And I know it sounds funny coming from a grandmother, but I haven't finished with Bathurst and she hasn't finished with me.
If you were trying to find the secrets to success for Betty Klimenko, I'd reckon just come and have a look at the racetrack. It's the way she deals with people. The people genuinely flock to her. They love her. They don't deal with her like she's a billionaire. They deal with her like she's one of their own. It's something that I've really never seen before. It's almost as though it's just one big family.
Hello, sweetheart.
Supercar fan.
Really? Come for a walk with me. This is what they call the garage.
Oh my God, you just made my day.
Oh, that's all right.
You're amazing.
Hang on.
They love her because she gives them the time. She doesn't walk past with her nose in the air and I'm a billionaire sort of thing. There's nothing like that about her. And she loves talking to the people that are scratching the ground because they've got no money, or the people that have got the money. She doesn't care who it is.
A part of Betty's different attitude to the sport goes to the team drivers. In the past couple of years, she's put in younger drivers, 24-year-old Will Brown and 25-year-old Brodie Kostecki, even though more points could have come with a more experienced team.
Yeah, some people that don't watch race cars and watch horses, I explain me and Brodie as Betty's horses. So pretty much, she owns a team and we go out there and race, and she enjoys watching it and being a part of it all.
As you walk down the paddock, who's better known, you or her?
Her.
She loves the sport and she loves the team side of it, and like her team, and it's like her family, so I think that's really important to her.
And the fact of the matter is, it helps to have an owner who's got relatively deep pockets. I mean, that's the other interesting side of it.
Yeah, that's motorsport, isn't it? Motorsport, you need deep pockets because if you can't get the sponsorship to make it work, you need the owners to be able to step up and pay for it, which is reality, unfortunately. But yeah, we're lucky we're at a point now where it doesn't cost Betty much and actually make us some money this year and maybe next year. So
Heaven forbid a motorsport company that actually makes you money.
yeah, I was saying it sounds crazy, but it's a business. But yeah, sometimes you don't aim to make money, but you just want to make sure you can be successful. So if every cent you spend, you get to the end of the year, and if you've just spent enough, well, you've done a good job as long as you've been successful.
On the farm, Betty is setting herself up for the future, one where after the high-octane years, life will ease back into a slower gear. Well, sort of. Aside from that amazing red barn they've already built on the property, a new home is now being built. A small home, she says, just 3 bedrooms. but it has a very, very big garage.
The garage spans all the way down.
But hang on, you could have 100 cars in here.
We own quite a few.
Right.
And there's going to be the 2 Bathurst winning cars in here. So we have built it like a temple.
You're living the dream, aren't you, really?
Oh, look, yeah, but you work hard to get there. And that is something that you smile at the end. You go, I worked hard. It wasn't given to me. I worked hard. I got it.
And all of these eccentricities and drive and the electric personality, well, they're part of the reason why Betty has been so successful. Just ask Sonia. She's worked with Betty for 28 years.
She's just Betty. Betty is Betty. That's all there is to it. She just does everything her own way. She doesn't conform to anyone, what anyone expects of her. She's just Betty.
She thinks differently to other people. That's one thing that I can see.
Yes, very much so. But that doesn't worry her. That's just who she is, you know?
In your mind, what's the essence that drives Betty along?
Belief. She just believes in herself, in the people around her. You know, she has good people who support her in the motor racing, and it's the belief. If she believes in something, it will work, and that's just Betty.
So 28 years you've been with her, you must love car racing.
No, I can't stand it. Hate it.
So Daniel, I'm trying to find out the spark, the secret of Betty's success. What do you put it down to?
Being crazy, I think. Because if you're actually normal and you do the same things that everybody does, then you're just fighting over the same airspace, same crumbs, same square meterage. You've almost got to go, well, what is it that I want to do, and forget what everyone else is telling you you should do. Because everyone tells you how you should do things and how things should run.
Yeah, but he gives me the freedom to be crazy. You can't just be crazy. You can't just say, okay, today I'm going to be crazy. It's got to be in you.
Crazy smart, you might call Betty Klimenko. To see her, this short woman with a shock of blonde hair, tattoos up her arm, covered in diamonds, you might just wonder about her toughness. But if you're up against her in business, motor racing, then dismiss her lightly, to your peril. Because Betty's been hardened by her personal adversity, by that of her family and her father. So Betty has a drive to succeed on her own terms that very few people possess.